get a plastic bag. Why you gonna roll it so you can put that stuff in a plastic bag? That ashtray's not big enough for that. Ashtray's to smoke, not to put backwood on there. They can't take the amount of backwood you put on top of that.
Where are you going? Can you get out the room? I don't even want you by my stuff like that.
Yeah, dog, I'm trying to open my door because I got stuff in my trunk I need to put in there. Been having that shit in my trunk. I don't even have trunk space.
know, when such a month.
Sorry.
You don't remember your social?
No, I do. It's just my mom knows that of it. We gotta finish this shit. We're really starting this shit. Kush with the orange. We on the bus first day.
It's a power in here that we
want
want
to
to
come. Yeah.
The way I just did.
Alabama. Gulf Shores, Alabama.
It was on some, no matter when you press it, it's gonna be the
on the
right
tour bus now, so it's official with it. You can see Alabama action back here. You can come on in.
That's mine, Fred.
There's barely any. There's not too much space, but there's a bed back here. Usually niggas be having like a little lounge back here, but not me. I'm 6'4", 6'5", tall boy. I'll see y'all in the morning, but we about to do this Gulf Shore shit. We about to party out here, hang out, chill, get ready for a show, go check out a few shows. Nothing too crazy, baby. Yeah. Alright, this is the artist compound. This is my shit right here. This is my trailer. We're sitting in the booth. They even got bumps in this bitch. Just in case. Yeah, it's pretty solid. They got a shower. You know what I'm saying? And they got the big boy bed. They always give me a big boy bed, you know? Because I'm a big boy. They always give the big boy his bed. You know what I'm saying? So zoom out, back up a little bit, back up, boy, back up. Yeah. Yeah, same with my boots. We out here. Oh yeah, there's an outside area too. Oh shit.
This is seared tuna with a salad and then veggies and cheese.
You ever do a salad animal?
Yeah, when I was on the Jelly Roll tour, we did it every day. He had the whole setup down there.
You get addicted to that, bro. It's like a high.
For sure it is.
Yeah.
Get high and then do it and then get high.
Yeah.
It's always get high.
It takes you somewhere, you know?
It's always that good high.
It fucking takes you somewhere. It's the breathing. For sure. When you get in that cold, you have to breathe.
Once you get through the first minute, you can pretty much stay. Do as long as you want.
After that, it's just you against your mind. Like, if your mind tells you that you gotta get out, then you start to think about getting out. But if you feel like, oh, I could hang out in here all day.
You listen to music when you're in there?
Nah, I just breathe.
Yeah.
Just raw dog in that joint.
You do yoga?
Yeah, I do hot yoga.
That's something everybody's telling me I should do, and it's like, I know how bad I'm gonna be at it.
Nah, you be good.
It would almost be distracting.
Everybody's a beginner, bro. We're all beginners. It doesn't even matter. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm gonna lose that one. Me versus me, I'm beating me every time I'm done.
Just relax. He was gonna win. What's up? What's happening? What's up? What's happening? What's up? What's happening? What's up? What's happening? OG Bobby Johnson, putting in work on the stack, man. I'm trying to do the best that I can, but it's hard out here for a black man. These niggas be smiling in your face, whole time they be acting. These niggas be claiming the set, but don't know the homies and don't even tap it. I'm doing this shit for KK, doing this shit for Sebastian, doing this shit for my girl, give her the world, whatever she asking. Like we were trying to beat down this fuck, slaying and rapping. You trying to find me one more. There you go. Absolutely.
So don't judge it. If this goes bad, don't judge us. Literally one of the inspirations that got me into making videos. I wanted to get out of it before some time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Glad to see you turn into
Doing
something. Wow, man.
Yeah. You guys are the best, bro.
Thank you guys so much. I'll see y'all later. Thank you guys. Take care.
Thank you, man.
All right, I'll see y'all in a little bit.
Thank you. Huge fan.
Yeah, I know Sean's a tight shot, so like, that makes it funny. I appreciate it.
She's rocking out now.
In the heart
Ever wonder what...
We out here in Nashville, just pulled up on my boy Red. Just left a little podcast. We about to do some studio shit. Hang out, we got the data. They gonna let us smoke in here, shit. Fan here, Chevy here.
What's that?
Yeah, it's like raining on and off and shit. It's a little muggy out here. A lot of farmland. I ain't getting no barbecue yet. Cool little chrome fit, you know what I'm saying? Little chrome fit. That's been too crazy. Yeah, being the only place that's gonna let us smoke. So I'm gonna go in here, probably listen to some shit. See if we feel like making some shit, maybe some eating, some wings, some burritos or something. Welcome to the studio. Yo, where the music at?
Leave it.
Like some world music, like cool hooks, good concepts and shit like that, but still like vibe sound.
Need it, man.
Hell yeah. Same time I heard that today. It's my like, they need it.
Yeah, just a couple of them bucks is big enough and wide enough for everybody to understand.
I'm gonna come back because I'm gonna buy a new locker.
Always, but just enough to get everybody in.
With me, okay?
Adios expected? Hello authentic. Say hello to...
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate everything, man. Really though, man.
We in Nashville, Brooklyn Home, the venue. The first show of the tour. Never gave no world tour. If you don't got your tickets, make sure you get them now. Niggas selling out everywhere. There's not too many of them. Also, make sure you get your tickets to the 7 Day no World. Right Nashville, while we're in Illinois. Yeah, let me see the set list. Not making the set list at all. No. That's our crowd right there. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring it back, yo.
That shit hit a nerve on me. I'm like, fuck.
Everybody who's here, like, you know what I mean, we really worked and wanted to be here. So that's our story right there. That ain't just, blah, blah. That's our story right there. Hey, boy, that merch, boy. You already know, boy, that big, you know what that is. Hey. But look at that ride. Now it's good.
You like the training and stuff, bro? Yeah, 5 days a week. Oh, yeah. When I'm at home,
Nah, see, I love y'all, but come on. Drama is like adrenaline for me. I gotta see the party going off. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. I posted it, but I didn't hear it. And yes, I do post shit sometimes without hearing it, so that's why I gotta hear it. Let me hear it. Remember, Offset requested, what do you call it again? Spousal support. You know what I mean? Shit, you know what I mean? This is, yo, I don't know why niggas mad at Offset. Offset trying to go through his soft boy era. He can't go through his soft boy era where he gets pampered and taken care of by his ex-wife.
Yeah. This man over here screaming IRL championship. Everybody just popped up on live out of nowhere. Bro, there was nobody live. Not over 4 people live, bro. Big wins. Marco, Monte. This shit, first funny Mike. You know how I go. You pick funny Mike first. Appreciate this song, Ryan.
Dallas still next year.
She definitely not around strong. Oh, we in us here. We at U of H.
It's not just super fighter, but it's fucking super short. Yeah. Man. We can be the hardest room.
Hey, this is a nice ass spot.
Yes, this half-face working.
Wait, I think Cinco, I think he another band. Is he? Was Cinco live? I think Cinco another band, Joe.
Holy shit. What are we not recording? Cooper it up. You like his ass in fucking bands or something. Look at your reclass.
See you there tomorrow.
We have the demonstrate your toughness. We're trying to treat it job. We literally, it's going to be fucking, listen, it's going to be Cooper, Kyrie, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, Drew Holiday. Where are we using first? Okay, Drew Holiday. That's fine. I know you would. What the fuck you would? And there's viable option for us lots of threes. Because the Lakers they get rid of real half of that. Yeah, who gives a shit? It'll be fun. I'll take fucking Australians over any of those three you just named. I'm gonna now spend some time.
Yeah, hello.
No. When is February got released?
Watching. He says, oh wow. I was thinking that. Oh, the chat heard them say that. The chat that was me, yo. Marco won a pool party. We gotta set something up, man. We were supposed to do a skating ring party. You already working on it? He working on a stream. We need
to do the pool party. Ask the guy about the house.
He was gonna do one this weekend. Oh, his three was first left. Somebody DreamCon was more important.
You know who didn't go to DreamCon?
Real friends.
He's following. Y'all didn't go to DreamCon because King had it to y'all can't come. Oh my God, y'all, I'm so hot. I'm so hot. Y'all gotta get in the shower.
Y'all gonna pick up the baby?
That was fun.
Yeah, I really like pickleball.
Pickleball was tight.
Pickleball's fun when you hit the ball.
You hit it good. You got some really good contact on it.
I got a new air buck coming in. Welcome. I'm tired, y'all. I want to go to Target. And I got a really big zit coming in, y'all. There we go.
WZ.
We don't know. Fuck, is that W? That's cool.
Police start throwing W on everything.
Don't pick at it. I got you.
W police. W another call on police.
W speed ticket.
Oh my god, I ain't gonna pick at it.
W take y'all.
I know, I was picking at my chin, not my face. My chin. Alright. I'm done, my bad. I'm done.
W over feet.
Posey right here, Tristan right there. Tristan got that shit on today.
I kind of do. A little bit.
Tristan got that shit on today.
Lightweight.
Light, sunny.
Light.
Spread the light. Whew, where's that chat? It says tree oil for those hair bumps, bro. Tree oil. We might go to Target. Say a joke. What's a good joke? What's a say a joke, y'all?
Joke.
So this.
How many white people does it take to screw on the light bulb? None. You get a nigga to do it.
That's cut.
That's good. Step back.
Huh. Woo. Why people hump? Say it says. Y'all wanna ride or y'all wanna end it? Y'all wanna come to Target with us? Or what y'all wanna do? Ooh, oh my God. Y'all comments coming in? Y'all coming? This is my comments low. Who y'all got winning? Oh damn, the comments are done. There it is. They gotta come back. Hold on. There we go. W motivator. W target. Alright, who y'all got winning today? New York or Indiana?
New York.
New York or Indiana?
Mix.
New York or Indiana? New York.
What Doris Burke called mix?
Damn, my motherfucker fear.
Now the humiliation ritual takes place for those who go through that first door for the zesty agenda. Now if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch my video on the gatekeepers of Hollywood, and then you'll understand what I mean by that. So as soon as they go through this door, they have to do the humiliation ritual. Now you have to realize they don't go through these doors just one time. Every time they put out an album, every time they do a movie, every time they want to move up, they have to do another ritual, which involves choosing one of the doors to go through. Now these people, typically, they'll do sacrifices. That's much easier for them, especially the people that's in the rap scene, the gangster rappers. Instead of doing the zesty stuff, they would rather sacrifice friends, loved ones. But it gets to a point where they done sacrificed everyone they're willing to sacrifice. And the only people left are the ones they truly love and do not want to sacrifice. So at that point, the only option they have is to go into the first door, the zesty agenda. Once they enter through that door, they will have to do the humiliation ritual. Now the ritual involves them going against the morals of their character. So if they're a gangster rapper, they're going to make him come out and wear a dress. Look at Young Thug. Young Thug came out and started as a gangster rapper. He was a blood. He was talking about gang stuff, talking about pushing pounds, talking about guns, street violence, talking about all the devil's points. And then out of nowhere, we see him wear a dress. And when did he wear that dress? Whenever he did his album. And then after that, you would see him with the nail polish, kissing men. And guess what? Guess who Young Thug was signed under? Birdman, the same one that was kissing Lil Wayne, the same one that said the zesty stuff on stage. Birdman and P. Diddy are on the same level. They are both gatekeepers for that first door. Now look at NBA Youngboy when he came out wearing the makeup. He started as one of the hardest rappers, street rappers. He was doing sacrifices left and right. He got rid of all the people around him that he could sacrifice. He had no one left, so he had to go through that first door. And then boom, you see him with the makeup on. Now the humiliation ritual, it is for the public, don't get me wrong, but it's mainly as an act of humiliation for their peers. Because whenever someone in Hollywood sees another rapper go through the humiliation ritual, they know what that means. They know that that person chose door number 1 and they went through with the ritual. So then whenever they go to like award shows or where there's other people from Hollywood, they're going to see them and interact with them. So they're going to be embarrassed because they know that all these celebrities are looking at them with the makeup on, with the dress on, and knowing exactly what they did. Because those people in the inner circles know what these rituals are about because they did the rituals themselves. This is why you see people on Vlad TV like The Game, Nori. You see all of them exposing the gay rappers, exposing the things that goes on in Hollywood because they participated. Nor, the N-O-R-E guy, the same one who did the video on Vlad about the doors of hip hop, he's the same one that was in that Diddy interview.
When you get to a level of success, when you're getting 30, 40, 50,000 a show, you platinum, you running across the world, there's 3 different doors, right? There's 3 different ways to walk. There's to the left, there's to the right, and then there's straight. To the right, I'm not sure if that's the homo shit right there. And then there's to the left, I'm not sure if there's some sacrifice shit going on right there.
Before the artist even reaches the doors, first they have to be initiated. That's into the devil's religion, which includes witchcraft, the occult, Freemasonry, black magic. They are taught the mystery teachings of how to cast spells, the Masonic hand gestures, the symbols, and everything about black magic. They are taught the Masonic belief that Lucifer is God, so that the initiation strips them of God and all of his protection. This is so that they are reborn in sin, and this initiation process is to prime them for possession. This is done so when they enter one of the doors, they can fully become demon-possessed.
I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? They said, yeah. I said, do they still have the colon conjure demons into the master? He said,
my boy just spazzed for a second.
Artist even reaches the doors, first they have to be initiated. That's into the devil's religion, which includes witchcraft, the occult, Freemasonry, black magic. They are taught the mystery teachings of how to cast spells, the Masonic hand gestures, the symbols, and everything about black magic. They are taught the Masonic belief that Lucifer is God, so that the initiation strips them of and all of his protection. This is so that they are reborn in sin, This initiation process is to prime them for possession. This is done so when they enter one of the doors, they can fully become demon possessed.
I said, did they still take the master to the temple room? They said, yeah. I said, did they still have the colon conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I gotta know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He said, come on, Lance, you know what the reason is. I said, please, David, I don't want to guess. Tell me what the main reason is. He said, the same as when you were in, so that we could play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He said, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. Thank you.
Each one of the doors has several gatekeepers assigned to it. The artists who already went through the rituals and the doors back in the days and survived it, they were selected by the labels to bring more souls. These gatekeepers are slaves themselves, but with more power and privilege. They went through enough rituals and brought enough souls and did enough sacrifice that they was promoted and upgraded from slave to slave bringer or catcher. Depending on the door you choose, you have to go through any one of the gatekeepers. They will split ownership of the artist with the label, and they are responsible for telling them what agendas and to be the handler of the artist.
When a pimp meets a girl, he puts her into a coat, some bathing suit, and some pumps, makes her look good. When a label meets an artist, they give them a budget. They choose them, and they say, I think you can make me money. I choose a bitch. I say, I think you can make me some money. You seem to want to. The average artist walks into a record label who is a pimp and says, please pimp me, put me out there. I need to be out. What's the first thing an artist do when they come? Put me out there. So you say you want to go on the track. So what I do is I'll give you money. I'll make you look good. Now you get out there and you sell me some records. You sell me some pussy. See, there's a parallel. Now, they say you shake yourself, break yourself when you see a pimp. So when a bitch is on the street, she see her pimp roll up, she walk a little harder, move her ass a little harder, and she breaks herself. But when you an artist and the label management walks in and you on the stage, you dancing harder. You trying to get it off. You trying to show your pimp you a good hoe.
You know, like Mariah Carey just had this big $20 million, that's like a huge deal.
Well, my boy
So
is saying something. I was looking at
Put me out there. I need to be out. What's the first thing an artist do when they come? Put me out there. So you say you want to go on the track. So what I do is I'll give you money. I'll make you look good. Now you get out there and you sell me some records. You sell me some pussy. See, there's a parallel. Now, they say you shake yourself, break yourself when you see a pimp. So when a bitch is on the street, she see her pimp roll up, she walk a little harder, move her ass a little harder, and she breaks herself. But when you an artist and the label management walks in and you on the stage, you dancing harder. You trying to get it off. You trying to show your pimp you a good hoe.
You know, like Mariah Carey just had this big $20 million, that's like a huge deal, right?
So you feeling that? If I sell 1 million copies, I'm gonna have $10 million, right? Roughly $10 million.
Right.
If I sell 2 million copies, I got $20 million.
Right.
If I just sell 3 million copies, I got $30 million. Now who has the biggest record deal?
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
Right? Yeah. So Mariah kind of got screwed.
He'd be a young boy, he's the biggest YouTuber, you know, as far as music.
Influencer, wow.
Influence as far as music. But think about the deals that this generation is doing.
Yeah.
So he did a deal, I looked at it, if I would have been on his team, he did a deal for $2 million for 5 records. So think about that. You got the money up front, imagine what they get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have to teach that to the next generation. Look at the bigger picture. Don't just look at the now.
Door number 1. This door leads to demonic possession through the perversion of God, what we call the zesty agenda. The door was created based on the occultic teachings of Aleister Crowley's ritual sex magic. The ritual leads to the corruption of the artist's soul. They in turn will be responsible for promoting this agenda using their image and influence, thus leading their fans away from God and towards demonic possession. The cycle of corrupting souls, and once they go through this door, they will fully become demonically possessed.
Hold on.
based on the occultic teachings.
You saw dude laying with a dude and called him Zesty. I
The
gotta
rich
see
will lead
it.
to the corruption of the artist's soul. They in turn will be responsible for promoting this agenda using their image and influence, thus leading their fans away from God and towards demonic possession. The cycle of corrupting souls, and once they go through this door, it will fully become demonically possessed.
Yeah, I love this.
I don't think he
I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping and shit. I like that.
I've been practicing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this drink. I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping, scrambling and scraping and shit.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go over with that one. That one.
Every day.
Every day's a birthday. I'm drinking chance, goddammit. I'm in.
Right. Look back on where I became.
Did you miss me though? For real, because I'm saying it seems like a thing.
I miss
This
partying,
birthday party.
man.
Man, it's about talking about for your birthday.
Huh?
I want you to party with me for your birthday, man.
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, you ain't never really party, you know what I'm saying?
You deserve it, Daddy.
To be at your highest peak and have it snatched away from you because you don't want to kiss ass. And then we all black people, man. Black people continue to step on each other and hold each other down. And that shit for people mental. I'm a nigga that'll run in there and blow your shit through, bro. I don't give a fuck. Do you really want to be in a situation where you make a man that mad, dog?
That's Fat Joe the question.
That's funny. That's
A lot of
funny.
rappers I asked, did they think about it for a second? They're like, pretty sure it does song to be a rapper.
Yeah, man, I'm in the industry. I've been hearing stories since 1990 something. I don't talk about that shit. My personal opinion is, if you talk about it too much, something bad will happen to you. Because there's something in the air, man. I'm a conspiracy theorist, so.
Well, you know, Fat Joe said that there's a gay mafia.
I was just gonna say it, but I didn't want to say it because I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So
The second door is the human sacrifice. They must sacrifice their loved one to obtain power, money, and influence. This is a direct violation of God and His creation. God gives life, and they take it in sacrifice. They sacrifice the loved one. In return, the artist will become demon-possessed. They trade life for earthly riches. Gatekeepers sometimes will even sacrifice their artists, but typically this is done out of jealousy or for ritual purposes. In turn, they will promote violence, murder, gangs, drugs, money. Many of the rappers are murdered themselves. The power of life and death is in their tongue.
In white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hypercriminalized males. I asked these advertisers, say, I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station? They said, no. I've got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station? They said, no. I said, I've got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murder and rapes. Would you put them on your stations? They said, well, that depends. Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because when you get black folks to sing about it, we can brand it for our youngest black audiences. I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see the
will lead to the corruption of the artist's soul. They in turn will be responsible for promoting this agenda using their image and influence, thus leading their fans away from God and towards demonic possession. The cycle of corrupting souls, and once they go through this door, it will fully become demonically possessed.
Yeah, I love it. I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping and shit. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. I like when you like this, Daddy. Daddy, I like when you scrambling and scraping and scrambling and scraping and shit.
Okay, yeah, I'm not gonna go over with that one. Every day's a birthday. I'm drinking chance, goddammit. I'm in.
Right.
look back on where I became.
You missed me though, for real, because I'm saying, it seems like a thing.
It's
His
party,
birthday party,
man.
man, bounce off your birthday.
Huh?
Almost your party.
Not gay.
Party for my birthday.
You deserve it, Daddy.
To be at your highest peak and have it snatched away from you because you don't want to kiss ass. And then we all black people, man. Black people continue to step on each other and hold each other down. And that shit for people mental. I'm a nigga that'll run in there and blow your shit loose, bro. I don't give a fuck. Do you really want to be in a situation where you make a man that mad, dog?
That's Fat Joe, the question. That's funny. That's funny. A lot of rappers I asked, did they think about it for a second? They're like, pretty sure I've done a song with a gay rapper.
Yeah, man, I'm in the industry. I've been hearing stories since 1990 something. I don't talk about that shit. My personal opinion is, if you talk about it too much, something bad will happen to you. Because there's something in the air, man. It's like I'm a conspiracy theorist, so.
Well, you know, Fat Joe said that there's a gay mafia.
I was just gonna say it, but I didn't want to say it because I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Before everybody starts screaming and saying, like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers entered the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all y'all motherfuckers going to hell. Right with me. So
the second door is the human sacrifice. They must sacrifice their loved one to obtain power, money, and influence. This is a direct violation of God and His creation. God gives life, and they take it in a sacrifice. They sacrifice the loved one. In return, the artist will become demon-possessed. They trade life for earthly riches. Gatekeepers sometimes will even sacrifice their artists, but typically this is done out of jealousy or for ritual purposes. In turn, they will promote violence, murder, games, drugs. In return, the artist will become demon-possessed. They trade life for earthly riches. Gatekeepers sometimes will even sacrifice their artists, but typically this is done out of jealousy or for ritual purposes. In turn, they will promote violence, murder, games, drugs, money. Their artists, but typically this is done out of jealousy or for ritual purposes. In turn, they will promote violence, murder, games, drugs, money. Many of the rappers are murdered themselves. The power of life and death is in the tongue.
In white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hypercriminalized male. I asked these advertisers, say, I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station? They said, no. I've got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station? They said, no. I said, I've got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murdering blacks. Would you put them on your stations? They said, well, that depends. Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because if we can get black folks to sing about it, we can brand it for our youngest black audiences, I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see these people that way. I said, how can you say that? They said, well, look, it's what these artists know. It's what they, black people, create. It's, matter of fact, our surveys say it's what they want to hear, which speaks of a sickness. How do we live in a society where somebody says, you know what, I'm inspired to write a song that celebrates murdering another person. And then a person says, I'd like to put that on my station. Another person said, I'd like to pay for it. And then there's people out here in the audience that go, I'd love to hear.
Every single mainstream artist are initiated into a cult in which practices becoming practitioners. This is to corrupt their soul, and then when they go through the doors, they become possessed. They had to go through the doors to enter the industry. Each time they want to move up, they must choose a door once again. It is an endless cycle. Once they run out of people to sacrifice, and then if they refuse the zesty route, they will apply to become gatekeepers for sacrifice. Some run out of sacrifices and have no choice but to go through the other door. They are all fully demon-possessed after entering the doors. The music is channeled through demonic rituals using muses and automatic writings. Spells and curses are weaved into the lyrics, backmasking ritualistic phrases and chants. This is why it affects the youth so much and it's so powerful. They don't even allow their own children to listen to it. So take that as a sign to protect you and your kids.
Everybody start screaming. Like I told y'all earlier, you motherfuckers enter the rapture. And if ain't nobody flying up to heaven right now, obviously all
What's going on YouTube? Ashby at TV, Truth Exposed. Today we're talking about the hip-hop gatekeeper, Lil Boosie, and the Mo 3 sacrifice. Let's get into it. Lil Boosie started out as a rapper in the late 90s. He ended up signing to Pimp C's record label, which is very strange that what ended up happening to Pimp C. But anyways, Lil Boosie is signed to 4 different record labels: Empire, Trill Entertainment, Atlantic Records, and Warner Records. So that's 4 different record labels that own percentages of Lil Boosie and his work. They also own a percentage of the rappers that Lil Boosie signs. Some of these record labels may solely be for distribution, but there's still a lot of hands in the cookie jar. So when Boosie realized that from music he wasn't going to be making much because he was getting robbed by the record labels, eventually he figured out how they were robbing him, and he found the opportunity to become a gatekeeper, which is just a former rapper who now does what the record labels did to him, and he robs other people. So this is why he became a gatekeeper. It's easier to make money off the back of someone else's work as compared to going and making songs and getting robbed by the record labels. So instead he started doing the robbing himself. These rappers, they get finessed, like I said, by the record label. They learn how to do it, and then they themselves do a partnership with the record labels to, in turn, rob upcoming rappers and split in that money with the record label. Basically, but they are pimping the artists out. Everyone thinks the gatekeepers are amazing people who are helping their communities and their people by putting these rappers on. But in reality, it's all for selfish reasons. They're not going to put someone on unless they're making a percentage off of it. Boosie is notorious for trying to sign these upcoming rappers. First, we're going to take a little look at the Kodak Black situation. Kodak Black said that Boosie tried to sign him for like $10,000. Basically, tried to rob him.
This little Boosie, I used to look up to him. So he said, "What part of Florida you in?" I tell him I'm in Broward. He was like, you wanna come sit down with me, and like give me like 10 bands or something. I already had that money off street money. Nah, listen, I already had that money off street money like before. So when he said like he wanna come give me 10, like I guess, but you never know a duck till you try and stuff like that. But I was straight up.
You think it was like a respect factor that he just wanted to just hook you up, or I mean?
Nah, he wanted to sign me for like $10,000.
Oh hell no!
The next situation is the NBA YoungBoy situation. A lot of people don't know that Lil Boosie has his hand in these artists' contracts. He'll go and get people like NBA YoungBoy and broker a deal with Atlantic Records for him. And in that contract, Boosie will be getting a percentage of everything YoungBoy does. The record label gets a percentage of everything YoungBoy does. And that's why NBA YoungBoy does not want to sign this new contract with Atlantic. Then we have the video of Boosie getting mad that NBA YoungBoy basically figured out he was getting finessed, and then he wouldn't clear a song for him. So Lil Boosie was still trying to profit off of this man's success with a song. He got mad, he wouldn't clear it. And this is what Lil Boosie had to say on the Vlad interview. And pay attention to his facial expression, how angry he looks, his heavy breathing, and what he says.
How'd you feel in this case you had to respond?
Because I don't want to.
You see how mad this man looked? You're not going to get that angry over someone not clearing the song. There's a deeper thing going on here, and that deeper situation is that he couldn't finesse Young Boy, just like he couldn't finesse Kodak. So then there was this hostility of, you know, they made him look stupid. They took away his opportunity to middleman him, which is what he does repeatedly over and over to these upcoming artists. Just like that clip of Little Uzi saying that Famous Dex tried to sign him for $20,000 or $10,000. They give him that advance, and then they rob him on percentages. You think they're trying to give him that small advance so that, you know, they don't have to recoup as much, but that's not really the situation. See, Boosie knows how the game works. He knows that these rappers, when they start getting to a point where they're gonna switch up and leave the contract, if they're already signed, they're worth more dead than alive. Like I said, especially if they're, you know, starting to outshine you. And this leads us into the Mo 3 situation. The 48 Laws of Power talks about not outshining the master. That's one of the laws. And Mo 3 started to become bigger than Boosie, was making more money, was making better music, was getting more influence in the music industry, which could have led to a situation where Mo 3 was bigger than Boosie and therefore had more power in the record labels. So he outshined the master, and then you could see some of this hostility starting to grow in this video where Boosie does the lie detector with Mo 3. He sets this whole thing up for the record label for Mo 3. He goes and does the lie detector, but only Mo 3 does the lie detector. Boosie refuses to get on it. That's because he was scared to answer any questions about contracts or anything like that. Now, these questions that he asked are obviously weird, strange, jealousy-filled questions like, do you think you make more money than me? Do you make better music than me? Are you mad that I smoke in the studio? Like, he just asked, like, hateful things, like, you could tell there's some type of hostility he has built up. Let's watch it real quick.
Who makes the better hood after me and me? My difficult to work with. Will you ever collaborate with me again? Will you get a tattoo of my face on your body? Do you have more money than me?
You can just see the jealousy, the hatred, and the envy he had asking questions that he was asking. You can just see it. And then him refusing to take that lie detector test that he just made his artist do is very strange to me. Directly after Mo 3's death, Boosie went onto Instagram Live. And in this live, he was counting money, smirking, smiling while singing Mo 3 lyrics right after he died. The money is symbolic because that's what he was hating on Mo 3 for. That's why he got Mo 3 famous, was for money. All of it had to do with money and influence, the power, the fame. Just this live, or just watching it, knowing that he had this man taken out of this world for a ritualistic purpose. See, the ritual, they have to keep participating in these sacrifices. And then when they have envy and rage and hatred built up towards someone, it's a lot easier to sacrifice them, especially since you profit even after their death. Let's watch the IG Live.
Got no car, he got red. Platinum plaques on the wall. Rolls Royces bitches dropping they draw.
And lastly, that brings us to this young Blue situation, where Young Blue, in the Vlad interview, he's talking about that he's not really signed to Boosie in the contract, but obviously Boosie feels a different way about this and feels he was signed for the contract. So Young Blue brought him $100,000, gave him $100,000, and Boosie thought this was a gift, which I don't know who thinks $100,000 is a gift. But this was his way, Young Blue's way, of buying himself out of his contract and severing ties so that he went and signed another major contract. Pay attention in this interview real quick that Young Blue says Boosie allowed him to sign another contract. That language tells you that he had control over. Boosie allowed him to sign another contract because when they do that, they sell the rights to these artists because they own them. They sell the rights to their name, to the copyright, to the catalog. So Boosie still made money off of that, and then he's gonna go and sue him afterwards. Let's watch these clips.
My situation is like it's more difficult to contract. Let me sign my other deal, you know what I'm saying? He let me go to sign my new deal.
There's absolutely zero reason why these rappers should go through another rapper to get to the record label. That's like being, this is a terrible comparison, but it's like being a drug dealer and getting your supply from the middleman instead of going directly to the plug, to the source. These rappers could go directly to the labels and get that deal, but sometimes they don't have the connections, so they go through another rapper. But if they have the talent that another rapper can see it, then the record labels, the A&Rs, they definitely will see the same thing. So they can skip this process. These rappers, they have to sign to these other rappers, get completely robbed, and then work their way back up. If you go watch my video on the breakdown of the gatekeepers, the two doors of hip-hop, I'll put it in hard right now. When you watch that, inside of that video, there's an audio clip from Ice-T comparing the music industry to the pimp game. The record labels are the pimps, and the artist is the hoe, is the trick. All the money goes back to the record labels and crumbs given to the artist. These artists are financially illiterate, coming straight from being poor to being rich, so they know that they're going to blow that money. And then they teach them to buy jewelry, cars, things that depreciate in value as soon as you buy it. The goal for them is to keep you broke, keep you in debt, keep you indebted to the record labels, so that you never have enough money and power to fight back or outshine in that. We know the truth about these satanic record labels and the rituals they do. But now we're going to break down the record labels and the private prisons. This is the dark side of the music industry. The birth of hip-hop is believed to date back to August 11th, 1973, where DJ Kool Herc, real name Clive Campbell, and his friend hosted a back-to-school party in Bronx, New York. 18-year-old Herc and his friend Coke LaRock are often referred to as the fathers of hip-hop. Hip-hop rose to fame around the same time block parties started to become popular in the Bronx. The genre incorporated other elements of the culture, including DJing, turntables, scratching, and beatboxing. At the block parties, DJs would play percussion tracks and samples as the crowd danced. Eventually, this led to people rapping over these instrumentals. Hip-hop music was not officially recorded for play on radio or television until 1979, largely due to poverty during the genre's birth and lack of acceptance outside the urban community. A mysterious man left an interesting letter on a hip-hop blog titled, "The Meeting That Changed Hip-Hop." The man claimed to be a former employee of a major record label. His letter exposed the record labels investing into private prisons and them subsequently promoting criminal activity to fill up the prisons and their pockets. This mystery man came from Europe in the 80s and quickly established himself in the music business. Early 1991, he was invited to a meeting with a friend at a private residence on the outskirts of LA. There was 20 to 30 people there. Some he recognized and a few that he didn't. They were there to discuss the future of music, the future of the music industry. At the meeting, there was a small group of unfamiliar men who seemed to be isolated amongst themselves. The writer points out that these men seemed different, and they were clearly not from the music industry. Everyone was talking with each other amongst themselves, waiting for the meeting to begin. They were interrupted and asked to sign an NDA before they continued. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that they cannot tell anyone about the meeting or what is discussed. This caused some of the people to leave, which they did without issue. The others stayed there and signed the NDA out of curiosity, but it made them ask each other, what could this meeting be about? It's so serious. One of the men from the unfamiliar group stood up and collected the NDA papers before giving the floor to the main speaker, the host, who only introduced himself by first name. The host began the meeting by praising everyone for their success in the music industry. He then congratulated them for being selected to become decision makers. The mystery writer makes it clear at this point in the meeting he felt off. There was something strange about this meeting, something devious. The subject quickly shifted as he told everyone their respective companies had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with their active involvement. He went on to explain the record labels everyone worked for there had invested millions of dollars into building privately owned prisons. Their positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Everyone in the room began looking at each other in confusion. It was 1991, so most people had not heard of a privately owned prison. Even more, they were confused as to how music and their positions in the industry, what it had to do with a private prison. The host began to elaborate further. He told them that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government.
Today we're going to be breaking down the concept
What's going on YouTube? What's going on YouTube? Astria Truth Exposed. Today we're going to break down everything you need to know about how these celebrities and even what people are talking about when they say selling their soul. Selling your soul is not like going to the pawn shop and it's not a transaction like that, okay? It's not a physical meaning, but it is very, very real. In the fact of, we have free will, right? So selling your soul is freely choosing to become spiritually and morally corrupted. Selling your soul is choosing to side with Satan, choosing to side with the devil intentionally. This entails promoting his agenda, separating people, leading people away from God. They know that they are selling their soul, and they call it that because they are corrupting their soul voluntarily for what people call mammon. People call earthly riches, earthly material possession. You're trading something of, it doesn't even have a value because it's so priceless. They intentionally corrupt themselves and others against God and lead people away from God so that they can be worshipped as God. That's what selling your soul is. Selling your soul entails, for some, to do rituals to actually become demonically possessed. Your body was given to you by the Most High. What's a way to pervert that? Going through these rituals of humiliation, sex rituals, everything to corrupt the body, to take down your wall of protection, to let these demons in and push God out. So selling your soul is essentially using your free will against God. You have to realize God-given talent is what these people are born with, well, some of them. God gives them the ability to sing, the talent to sing. They may have been a singer in heaven, an angel in the angel's choir, in the heaven's choir, and they're blessed with that beautiful voice. So Satan, the devil, would take that God-given gift and use it to promote sex, promote drugs, promote violence, to use God's gift that he gave that person to lead other people away from God, using his own gifts against him. That is what it means. That's why these people go crazy. That's why you see them surrounded by people all the time. They cannot be alone. They are feared to death because they have all these demonic spirits, all this demonic energy attached to them and around them. Selling your soul means using your free will to intentionally lead people away from God and become spiritually corrupted. Thank you for watching.
I was the manager of Zodiac Productions, which Zodiac Productions name's been changed since then. I'm not even sure what to call it now, but it's the largest music conglomerate in the world. It owns RCA Records, Columbia Records, Motown Records, owns almost all the concert booking agencies in the United States. And that's not even the name of the company that owns it. The name of the company that owns it is Brenner Enterprises, and Brenner Enterprises is owned by Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan's owned by Standard Oil, and Standard Oil is owned by the Lords of London. You can track it on back. You kind of get the idea after a while. But I was the managing president of Zodiac Productions. So one of my jobs is being one of these 13 people. I got to know many of the people who produce music and sing the music and play the music that you play. Now, one of the closest friends that I got during that time that I tamed was a man named David Crosby. I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I'd like to know certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? They said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I gotta know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He said, the same as when you were in, so that we could play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master is cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive office. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room, and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He says, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music.
Courtney, do you know of ever involved in the occult or witchcraft or anything like that? Absolutely. And no, yeah, really fascinating. Especially when she was with MTV. And the people at MTV were totally into satanic cults. The kind of stuff where they were having meetings wearing red masks and sacrificing people and stuff.
Get the hell out of here at MTV.
The heads of MTV, the people at the top levels of MTV were definitely satanic cults. When MTV first started, there was a cult of black magic or dark magic. Let's call it dark magic. People at MTV, musicians that were going to MTV were couldn't get on MTV unless they were vetted by these people.
Really?
And they had definite proclivities to not let anybody in there unless they were able to manipulate them through these various cult practices.
Welcome to the Satanic Cult Awards, ladies and gentlemen! All hail the Dark Lord! Who wants to pray to the devil with me? Who's in with me? Come on, hey! Let me see those horns! Let me see those horns! Now take the hand of the person next to you. Come on, lady. Dear Dark Lord Satan, hope everything's good with you. I'm doing fine myself. Just want to say hi and ask you to grant tonight's nominees continued success in the music industry.
I'd like to, first of all, I'd like to thank Satan.
We'd like to thank you for this MTV award. It will take pride of place on my mantle next to my upside-down rubber cross and my signed copy of The Wicker Man.
I sat on a council of 13 people that take orders only from the Rothschild Tribunal in London, which they claim they take their orders directly from Lucifer. Count your kids' records, probably yours too, and count how many demons at least are there. That's too hard for you to believe? I'm sorry, that's why they do it. Now listen to me. This is why rock music's addicting. Have you ever seen kids that got rid of their music, they go around like this? They can't wait to find a rock station somewhere and they sneak off just like getting a cigarette or a stick because it's addicting. That's why they can't give it up. The rest of the conversation was this. You can't cast a spell on a Christian, but you can get a Christian to cast a spell on themselves. If you give the permission for the spell to work, being a Christian won't block it. And rock music is not just a song. It is supernatural music which is carefully designed by their spirit guides, the familiar spirits, in the form of spells. Now, although the devil's music's power is the music and God's music is the word, much of the songs are written in what we call witch language. Give you kind of an idea. Many of you talk on a CD, unless you know what a smoky is, and a 10-4, and a front door and back door rocking chair, and these type of things. You don't know what you're talking about. Same with witches. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else means something totally different than when you say them. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in which language. And I'm going to show you something. See how many kids in here, be honest, and adults. How many remember and have heard, at least several times, a song called Hotel California? Somebody tell me what it meant. Quickly, somebody tell me what it meant. Huh? That's pretty close. But from the words, what did it mean? Well, that's more of a guess. See, most people can't tell you. That's why when people do drugs and they listen to songs in which language, they get some of the meaning. But most of the time, they can't tell you. Stop and think how many songs are out there that you really like, and you don't have any idea what the person was talking about. Beyond the Yellow Brick Road? How about The Destroyer by Kiss? Can anybody tell me what it's about? Kiss said in it, kids, tell your parents, it's talking about Helter Skelter. The Beatles sung Helter Skelter, in which language nobody knew what it meant. Manson did because he belonged to the process. Helter Skelter is a several thousand-year-old word. Most of the music is either about Helter Skelter or a place called the Night Winds, which is what Hotel California is about, and different doctrines of witchcraft. You listen to them, your parents let you listen to them, and they have no idea. Kids openly bragged how they were gaining control of people through their music because the people played their music. They told how they didn't form their own group. Their church, because they were ordained ministers of the Satanist church, placed them together. And that's how most of the music is done. David Crosby, when him and Crosby, Stills and Young produced the record 283, they ordered the Principality of Medici So ordered demons of rebellion to go into the record, and everybody that heard it would be rebellious against law and order and government. And it was one of the reasons for the great upheaval in the 60s was that one album, and they take open credit for it.
Very hard, the tune will come to you at last. When all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. If you listen to the tune.
All right, now you're going to play this backwards.
Right. To get critics even, or the skeptics, to show them what I'm going to do, I've actually taken the exact piece of tape that you just heard it off.
Phrase here, because sometimes words have two meanings.
Right.
That's in the second verse there. That really caught my
And I
attention.
think, we've proved that tonight. Revolution number 9 says turn your undead man backwards. Two meanings. Other pieces in here, there's a feeling I get when I look to the west. And in medieval times, the west was the direction of hell, because that's where the sun died, in the west. Sun was born in the east, that was the direction of heaven. There's a feeling I get when I look to the west, and my spirit is crying for leaving. And I'll read the last verse for you, because it's very interesting. It says, and as we want, all right, let's go ahead and start. Okay.
I heard something there.
All right.
Particularly among adolescents, is a very powerful motivator of behavior. It wasn't so long ago that an entire war was turned on the basis of music with Vietnam. And music was really central. They underestimated the power of music because music touches the limbic system or the emotional system of our brain, which actually, though slower than other parts, can overwhelm all of the other parts. Think about how we lose our mind when we fall in love. We literally do because of the power of the emotion. That being said, the music system has been
around for about 75 years. I'm kind of surprised at this.
I have never heard it.
Well, you're not the only one.
Right.
It's a $10 word, but it has a $1 meaning. It means really the study of music and sound all over the world, and not just what music is, but also what music does. And I was thinking that today, in honor of Martin Luther King Jr., I could explain a little bit about that, because the music played a tremendously important part of the role in the civil rights movement.
If your favorite song makes you cry, it is because it is literally changing your brain chemistry. Research has shown that brain waves will resonate with the beat of music, and that makes your breathing and your heartbeat actually try to match the beat of the song. Now, humans and songbirds are the only two kinds of animals on Earth that this happens to, which means on some fundamental level, we are wired to respond to music. Now,
in this experiment, Dr. Emoto's researchers used a glass of Tokyo tap water, which seems to be unable to form crystals, and performed a test. Participants placed the glass in the center of their circle and sent gratitude to the water. Studying the water under the microscope, they started to see a crystal formation. Increased magnification showed the symmetry of the crystal, revealing how the tap water was transformed by the gratitude sent by the group. The crystal continued to grow, expressing the energies received. The tap water from Tokyo finally produced a beautiful crystal.
It was interesting to see children so completely astonished after they witnessed the difference in Tokyo. It was interesting to see children so completely astonished after they witnessed the difference in Tokyo tap water before and after they said the prayer. Their mothers were kind of skeptical before this experiment. But afterwards, they said, we really have to believe it.
A Dallas rapper was murdered outside of his car on I-35 near the Dallas Zoo. Hello, I'm Stevie.
I'm Heather Hayes. It is a stark example of the city's struggle to control violent crime. Police say the victim, a hip-hop musician named Mo 3, was approached by the killer on a...
Pop Smoke, a rapper on the rise, has died at the age of 20.
Rapper Nipsey Hussle has died after being shot outside his South Los Angeles clothing store on Sunday.
We arrived to a heavy media and police presence here outside of the Studio City home of rapper Mac Miller. And authorities confirm here a death investigation is...
A rapper who went by the name XXX Tentacion is dead following a shooting in Florida, the Broward County Sheriff's...
And turn to the sudden and shocking death of rap star Juice WRLD. The 21-year-old who is named Billboard's Best New Artist this year suffered a medical... Out of those new revelations about Prince's death. An autopsy has now confirmed that he died from an overdose of a...
We're getting some breaking news coming into the situation right now from...
We now know what caused the death of singer Whitney Houston. She was, of course, found dead in a hotel bathtub last month. On Thursday, coroner's officials said she drowned accidentally.
It's kind of weird, like, yeah, you're in the room, but, you know, we're the arbiter of whether you can stay in the room. They do these 360 deals where it's like, if you get a perfume deal, if you, like, your whole world, we own a piece of your whole world. And fame is such a great quotient in American life now that you can see where kids would trade fame and be willing to give away, like, the profit looking for them to have an equity position, they agreed to very low rates for the artist's music. But as Spotify and the other streaming services raise up in their equity position, the labels benefit. So the labels pimped out their own artists to take a greater equity position in a rising.
The hip young executives, they say, well, we can't take a chance on this because it's just simply, that's not what the kids really want, and I know. You know, and they got that attitude. And the
advances from the recording companies, I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work, I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave, I just want to, you know, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual property.
What is going on, YouTube? Astria TV, Truth Exposed. Oh, royalty are vessels for the fallen angels. The elite are vessels for the fallen angels. The spirits that were worshipped as demigods and false idols during the ancient times are the same spirits inside of these celebrities, the fallen angels. They go through ritualistic ceremonies to be possessed and give these fallen angels control over their bodies. They see it as one of the highest honors to be possessed by these fallen angels. They're the most powerful demons, next to Lucifer. So to them, it's an honor. It helps them be better actors, better rappers. It helps them channel and write songs. It helps them, basically it works like a muse. So they have to go through a series of rituals and rites that corrupt their souls and their bodies enough for these fallen angels and these demons to be able to possess them. First, they have to strip away every protection and mechanism that God put in place to protect his children. They have to strip that away from them. So once they become fully demon possessed by the fallen, they will control them most of the time. Rarely will they break free from his control. And when they do, they realize how much time they have lost and how much the demon controls them, and they lose their minds. If you go back and watch my Britney Spears Woke Up During MK Ultra video, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. MK Ultra helps suppress their real identity so that the fallen angels can possess them without them trying to come back and take control. Lets them possess them without a fight whenever they start getting that fighting spirit. Because at first it's an honor to them until they realize what is taking place. These people can be saved if they wake up enough. This is why they keep them under tight control, under watch 24/7. And they are constantly put through MK Ultra to keep that fallen angel in control. That's why they go to quote unquote jail all the time or rehab. Demons and fallen angels don't want to come back into the bodies of homeless people, regular people, or what they call peasants and homeless people. They want to be worshipped. They want to be in position of power over the masses. They love to be worshipped, and they love to have power over people. So that's why they want to possess the celebrities, the gatekeepers, the elite. Every single person in the elite is either demon possessed or possessed by the fallen angels themselves. They put their children through these same rites and rituals to have them possessed and corrupted at a very young age, because we all know that children are connected to God. So to them, the opposite side of that spectrum is a child can be the most pure used in the satanic ritual. Their bloodline traces straight back to the Nephilim and fallen angels. Have you ever seen the show The 100, where they get possessed and taken to the light of city through that implant, through the virtual reality? They're called primes, royalty to be possessed by those spirits. So the celebrities and the elite are the primes, the royalty that these fallen angels possess. The devil gives his followers and servants material riches and things of this world. That's why they have billions and trillions of dollars, $1 million mansions, summer houses, $1 million cars, and then God's people are starving, barely scraping by. Because the devil don't want to give God's people material of this earth because we don't really need it. Because we'll have material, not material wealth, but we'll have spiritual wealth the entire time. That's why they say money can't make you happy. It all comes about what spiritual riches you have. But yeah, that's basically the video. The celebrities and the elite are the primes. Go watch the show The 100 and you'll see what talking about. I hope you enjoyed the video and have What's going on YouTube? Astro Truth Exposed. Today we're going to be talking about the fallen angels, the hybrids that was in Egypt as the pharaohs. Look at these pictures that I'm about to show you. These are the same elongated skulls that L.A. Marzulli did the DNA testing on. The same kind of head structure, and it turned out to be non-human DNA. Look at this. You're going to tell me that this is a human being? No way in hell. These are you cannot warp your skull like that from wrapping it in a cloth. You can go look up how the skull looks warped with the cloth compared to this. It's something completely different. They have the animal-human hybrid of the Anubis, where they mix the dog DNA with the human DNA. They have these pyramids that we can't figure out how humans built them because humans did not build them. These beings are the ones that built the pyramids. And these beings are not human. You can look at them and tell they are not human. They look human, but the head structure reminds me of the American Dad show with the Roger the alien. I was headed, go look that up and look at his head and then look at the head of this figure. Look at the rendition of what this person would look like. Reminds me of Aquaman. These are the people who came from the stars. The heavens, the ones that fell from the heavens to the earth. That remind you of the fallen angels from the Bible. This is why I said the humans did not build the pyramids. And look, they even went and destroyed statues of them. And look, they happened to break the head part because they did not want you to see what was going on there. Also, they have the Christian cross shown in hieroglyphics. So much strange stuff was going on during this time period. So much contact with otherworldly beings. And everybody wonders how the Egyptians were so advanced and had technology that we don't even know what the hell it is. With the huge light bulb, there's like a generator, the pyramids. I mean, come on now. You can look at these pictures and tell that if we seen something like this in modern day, people would say exactly what you're thinking, that this is an alien. This is not human. And then by no way am I discrediting anyone or am I saying anything towards any group of people, but you cannot tell me that this is human. There's no way. The elongated skull going all the way back, search up L.A. Marzulli.
And you will see he finds similar skulls called the Paracas people. They DNA tested it and it was not human DNA. Same structure as this skull, it is not human. This is just a quick little video on the non-human rulers of Egypt. Thank you for watching.
On the stipulation of he had to be on house arrest and he had to go back to his hometown and live with his mother or stay with his mother. This man was driving a customized car. And the thing about customized cars is they stand out. Just imagine everyone in the neighborhood wears white shirts. And then if you're rich, you wear a colorful shirt. So when somebody sees that colorful shirt, they know that person's rich. When they see this vehicle that you posted on Instagram, social media, you're stunting on people, you're flexing on people, you're talking about rival gang members, you're in a gang, you just made yourself a target. The record labels appoint these rappers lawyers because they're owned by the lawyers. I mean, not the lawyers, they're owned by the record label. So the record labels give them the best lawyers to ensure that they get out of jail. Just like Youngboy's on house arrest, stuck at his house. So they let him out on house arrest, but they sent him back to his hometown, and this man used that car, that blue car, I think it was a Corvette. So he was standing out, he was in his hometown, where 90% of rappers die in their own hometown. He was a target just because he was a gang member. He was a target because he stood out. He was a target because he was rich. He was a target because he flexed on it on social media. He was a target because he was rich. The record labels, everybody knows the death clause, where they have life insurance policy on rappers. You can look it up. It's a real thing. They put him back into his neighborhood. They put him in there knowing he'd be a target, knowing he was on house arrest. If he would have stayed in jail, let this sink in. If he would have stayed in jail, he would still be alive. Isn't that insane? Stuck on house arrest, and in his hometown, he's a gang member. Very short life expectancy being a rapper. Very short life expectancy being a gang member. And when you mix those two things together, this is what you get. He might not have been performing very well for the record label. They know when a rapper dies, there's 1,000% increase in music streams and sales because of fake love. So if he's not making that much money, he's getting in trouble, he's going to jail, his album flop, they can just kill him off. They have the death clause, the insurance, they get a life insurance policy on him, and then boom, his music is doing well again and they own his masters. Not a coincidence he dies at 24. Like I said, 2 + 4 is 6. That's their number. Real quick, I want to apologize. I went and had daily uploads for almost 3 months straight.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strawberry.
What's going on YouTube? Astro Truth Exposed. Today we're going to be talking about MK Ultra and body snatchers. So with MK Ultra, the goal was to split the human mind. And when they split the human mind, it fractures into different pieces. And in those different pieces, they would use MK Ultra to implant personalities, to implant false memories. And using this technique paired with occult teachings, Aleister Crowley teachings with sex magic, summoning demons and things of that nature. What they would do is they would split a person's mind, they would implant different personalities, false memories, and they would have the person become demonically possessed. The spirit would then attach to one of their false personalities, and when they give control to that personality, the demon would operate inside of their body and control them. The demon would be able to perform for them, like when the clip of Beyonce, where she transforms into that demonic face, that's them letting the demon or that personality, what they call an alter ego, take over them. That's the body snatcher. So they'll be able to implant the fake personality, the false memories of that personality, and attach a demonic spirit to it. Now with Britney Spears, I'm going to show you a video here in a second, but the last part I want to explain about MKUltra is they would program a word for the handlers to be able to snap them out of the control of the demon. These words, it was a code word, a special word that they would use intentionally over and over and over and over to be able to act as a fail-safe, a switch to turn the personality off. In this interview with Britney Spears, we see her sitting there, her face turned, smirking. That's the demon in control. As soon as she says the word weird, she snaps out of it just like that. And then she starts looking around like, how did I get here? And then she starts crying, saying, whoa, whoa, and couldn't handle it because probably the last control she had was way back at her house. And then that personality takes over, and then she just wakes up in the middle of an interview and gains control back over her body in the middle of the interview and doesn't know what's going on. Invasion of the body snatchers, and the way that they split the personality is a certain type of sex abuse that they would do. I'm gonna do a more deep dive into the MKUltra, but this is the Body Snatchers Britney Spears video.
Spasm of publicity about what happened from Mexico to London.
It was pretty rough, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Weird. Hello. Oh my goodness. Hello. Ew. Strawberry. Yeah.
Ridiculous. We're going to be talking about the sacrifice of Tupac Shakur. Even to this day, people worship this man, regardless of all the craziness that went on with him. To understand the full story, let's go back to childhood. Everyone seems to think that he was this gangster from the very beginning, when really he had plenty of opportunities that people in the hood did not have. He was well-spoken, he had his family, he had everything that people in the hood does not have. He went to a school called the Elite Baltimore School for the Arts, an elite school. This school was in Baltimore, Maryland, and let me tell you the alumni, the people who went to this school before. It consists of 8 former U.S. presidents, actors, musicians, and one of these actors happened to be Jada Smith. Isn't that strange? He was groomed for success, groomed for Hollywood, and groomed for the Freemasons. His relationship with Jada was put together for publicity. This school was started in 1979 by a task force and the mayor. Task force goes back to the military, the government. Let's talk about his big break. His big break came in 1991 when he signed to Interscope, and that was controlled by Jimmy Iovine. Now, in 1992, Interscope got the rights to market and distribute records from Death Row. Tupac's first album was called Tupacalypse Now, which was his debut album. Now, in 1995, at the height of his career, he was arrested for rape. And of course, everybody just ignored it and said that the person was lying, as always. He had a $3 million bond set. So at the time, he was basically broke. Even though he was at the height of his career, his net worth was $200,000. And you can see with the jewelry he wore and all that he blew that money pretty fast, but what you don't know is he had funders. He had grown men, that was giving him money. And you can only imagine what he was doing for that money. While in jail, Tupac came across Illuminati talk. He came across rumors and was hearing about the Illuminati. And this led to him coming up with the word Illuminati, which is kill and Illuminati put together. Kill the Illuminati. Suge Knight, which helped co-found Death Row Records, went to Jimmy Iovine, because Jimmy Iovine controlled Interscope, who Tupac was originally signed to. There was like a merger. So Jimmy Iovine sent Suge Knight, after he signed Suge Knight, he sent Suge Knight to go get Tupac out of jail, right? Tupac was stuck in jail. He did not have the $1.3 million to bond out. Suge Knight wrote up a contract on a piece of toilet paper, a napkin, and got Tupac to sign the contract. If he signed the contract, he would be free. He would be released from jail, and then he would have to recoup that money through the contract, which I'll show you the contract now states about him recouping the bond, the bail money. If he denied this contract, he would stay in jail. So just imagine you was facing all this jail time at the height of your career. You could not bond out. And then someone offers you a contract for $3 million for 3 albums in 1995. And you get out of jail for free. Basically, you'll pay it back, but it's free at the time. It was a no-brainer. But what he didn't realize was how bad that contract really was. He signed for, like I said, $3 million, but $1.3 million had to be recouped on the bail alone. And we know how these record labels charge you for dinners, charge you for studio time. So he was going to acquire about $5 million in debt just from making the album and his bail. His net worth, like I said, was $200,000 before he signed. Isn't that insane? Tom Whaley was the man who originally signed Tupac back for his first album to Interscope, and he still controls Tupac stuff to this day. So Tom Whaley had a percentage of Tupac. Jimmy Iovine had a percentage of Tupac. The record label, Interscope and Death Row split a percentage of Tupac. And then lastly, Suge Knight had a percentage of Tupac. So Tupac realized that he couldn't have been getting no more than 15 to 20% of his earnings. That's why he only had $200,000, because the Tom guy completely screwed him in the first contract, and then he got even more screwed in a contract merger between 2 record labels, 3 people, including Suge Knight. He started to realize how bad these contracts were. He couldn't get out of it though. He owed all this money in debt, and he was scared of going back to jail. So this led to a series of events. This led to a few things taking place, right? Tupac on Death Row was signed with these other gangster rappers, right? So this is when he became a gangster. This is when he started portraying that image, the West Coast, this and that, when we know he was never a gangster. Now, the bathtub photo shoot of April 1996, shot by this gay photographer. Let me see if I can find his name. Well, you see it on here. It's LaChapelle is the name of the photographer. Oddly enough, this photographer also did the photo shoot for Travis Scott's Astro World. You can do what you want with that information. This photo shoot, you can see how zesty this is. Tupac looking at his ass like a woman in the mirror, sitting in the bathtub with suds around him, and letting a gay man take his photograph while naked. Despicable. Now, 5 months after that incident, after that ritual, he was shot and killed. But the important thing is, between that photo shoot, him knowing he's getting robbed in the contract, he started talking to Quincy Jones about signing to him, about leaving death row. And we know how Suge Knight operated. He would not allow that to happen. And then oddly enough, after those rumors of him wanting to leave, he shot and killed in the car with Suge Knight. Look at this picture taken with Tupac and Suge Knight. The last picture, besides the one that's in the car. Suge Knight wearing that all red devil suit with that ominous grin. Right? Tupac was hit 4 times in that car, in the chest, pinpoint accuracy, a bullet even, you can see in the autopsy, his skull exposed, and the bullets hitting him. That was a targeted hit. You can't kill one man specifically in a car without it being targeted, without you being a good shot. Even if you pull up next to him, the odds of shooting the driver too is very high, unless you are trained. His last album, the Illuminati, the 7-Day Theory, which I'm not going to get into the gematria, but there's so much gematria with that. He's portrayed as Jesus on the cross. This album was released after he died, right? He's talking about Illuminati, killing the Illuminati, and he got killed. Then they put him on the cross to portray him as Jesus, which he still worshipped as Jesus to this very day in hip-hop. People still talk about this man to this very day. He died with a net worth of $200,000, and then just from his last album that he put out after he died, he made $60 million. So you're telling me in 1995, at the height of his career, after doing movies, after doing albums, he only had $200,000. That's because he had all those people in his pocket. That same year he died, his mom had to sue for $1 million over royalties because they was completely coming in like vultures, taking percentages, taking his money, taking his royalties. Same thing they was doing to him while he was alive. That's why he wanted out. That same year, 1996, Dr. Dre left. Suge Knight did not want Tupac to leave, and he knew if Tupac was going to leave, he would kill him and he'd be worth more. Tupac would have, you don't know the trajectory. He could have fell off years after if he was still alive. He was a lot of money in debt. He was way indebted to the labels. They had him so far down in debt, it was ridiculous. His mom had to sue for the royalties. The same year that Suge Knight signed Tupac is the same year Eazy-E died. And we know all the theories concerning that. This all went back to the same thing that goes on now. Tupac was the first rapper to have an album released after his death. And then look how many came after him. It set the trend for this occurring.
I want to say something else. One of the things that I learned from whistleblowers from the cabal itself is that they have to work within something they call the rules. And this is very, very important. So I really want to make sure that this gets into the film. The rules are a body of spiritual principles that they must follow in order to be allowed to exist. Now, what do I mean by allowed to exist? I mean that they are aware that there are benevolent forces that will prevent them from achieving their goals unless we give them permission to enslave us. Now think about that. Well, I didn't give them permission. So why did they put this plan for 3 world wars on display in a book that's hanging there open behind glass in the British Museum Library of London? And those 3 world wars that they're outlining are exactly World War I, World War II, and the war on terrorism. Because the rules state that they have to tell us what they're doing. Therefore, if we allow it to happen, we have consented to tyranny, we have consented to enslavement. Now, if you get into the secret history of the cabal, this was rediscovered by Queen Elizabeth, the original Elizabeth that we've heard about from the 1500s. Queen Elizabeth's royal astrologer, a man named John Dee, who is the prototype of the wizard with the long beard, the hat, and what he did was to rediscover, through these ancient documents that were in the Vatican, the technology of how to access what they considered to be spiritual beings that were useful to them, but what we would consider to be demonic or evil beings. These beings need to be accessed through a very complex set of rituals and ceremonies. You cannot just ask for them to show up. You have to follow very elaborate and specific protocols. If you follow those protocols, it's like having an IP address, which is what we use to go online in order to notate a website. Every website has its own IP address. These spiritual beings, such as Baal and Moloch, which they still do ceremonies for today, such as in Bohemian Grove, there's a giant effigy, stone effigy of an owl. That's the god Moloch. The god Moloch was all the way back to Rome and Carthage, in which they were offering child sacrifices to this god in exchange for power. So John Dee rediscovered the technology of how to draw the magic circles, how to say the right incantations, how to actually do black magic on a governmental level. This is what people are going to have so much trouble with once disclosure happens, is that these people actually practice black magic.
What's going on YouTube?
What is going on YouTube? Astria TV, Truth Exposed. Today we're going to be talking about Adam and Eve and decoding the story. Let's get into it. Think about the word Adam, A-D-A-M. It also has the same word as A-T-O-M. And everything is composed of atoms. Think about Adam's apple, your throat. Forbidden fruit was represented by an apple. Apple trees are said to be sacred in ancient times, known as the tree of love. In the Bible, after eating it, they became fully aware that they were naked, which hints at sexuality and lust. Is the apple a symbol of sexual seduction? Eve means living. So Eve in Latin, the original word is Eva, which means life or living. It can also mean full of life or mother of life. The serpent. The serpent represents fertility, rebirth, shedding its skin and becoming new or reborn. It represents continual renewal of life, immortality. This is represented in European history, ancient history, and the history of Native Americans. Trees represent physical and spiritual nourishment, transformation, and fertility. They also represent growth, life, and prosperity. Fruits. Fruits represent wealth, prosperity, riches, success, and fertility. Fruits of your labor. Then the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Reap the fruits of the seeds you sow. Man and woman is duality, the key components to creating life. 1 + 1 = 2. The recurring themes is fertility, prosperity, wealth, earthly riches.
What's going on, everybody? We're going to be breaking down. What's going on, everybody? We're going to be breaking down angels are fallen aliens are fallen angels. We're going to break down the correlation between missing people and UFO activity. So let's go ahead and connect the dots. First, we're going to go ahead and break down something that's in the King James Version of the Bible. It says that the sons of God, which we would hear would be the fallen angels, saw the daughters of men that they were fair and took them. Okay? There were giants. Now when it says they took them, let's go over here. The fallen angels, they fell from the sky onto the earth. So they came from the sky. When you look at the old Egyptians and the ancient tribes and whatnot, they talk about gods that descended from the sky. Okay? Now, all these ancient tribes used to art and writing to document when they met these so-called gods. In almost every tribe you see alien and creatures occupied by spaceships in some of the cave paintings. The ancient pyramids and mega structures were built thousands of years ago, but with technology greater than ours. Okay, to the right it is important to note the words, they took them. So we have these ancient gods that are associated with spaceships and they took the women. In today's world we would call that an alien abduction. Now these are old cave paintings from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. You can see the alien craft, the alien outline. Now we move here, another old cave painting, you can see the aliens. Now what's more interesting is this is a very, very old artifact here from ancient times. And within this artifact right here, you can see a helicopter, what looks to be like a car, and then flying saucer, kind of like a jet. Now, how would they know this thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago when they supposedly were sleeping around campfires? You know, it doesn't make sense that they would have this technology. So now let me explain a little bit more. Now, when they said the fallen angels are the sons of God, when they fell upon the earth, they took women. Now you would have to think that this had to be DNA manipulation. Now look at the size. I'm not saying this is the real comparison here, but look at the size of the giant, the fallen one. Look at the size of the woman. How possibly could those two have sex and produce a child with the size difference here? Now we can go here to the skeletons. This would be a tall human back then, 6 foot. Now you can see how large it would get. So how would this creature here have a child with this creature here? So the fallen ones were giants themselves and were not human. Just from the size difference between the fallen angels and the humans begs the question, how did they mate? Due to the size difference, they would not be able to have sex the traditional way. The size of a baby Nephilim would kill a normal human, wouldn't you think? They would have to have DNA manipulation, extracting female eggs and male sperm. They intertwined the DNA with the fallen angel DNA with human DNA. They gave birth to the Nephilim. They most likely created the first 2, male and female, and had them reproduce from there, because a human woman could not give birth to a Nephilim or mate with a Nephilim. So the only possible way this could happen is through DNA manipulation. On to the next slide. Now to prove these are real, this is a man, L.A. Marzulli. He has a series called The Watchers where they document evidence finding Nephilim skulls, and there's a whole bunch of other cool stuff. You should definitely look into him and his research. But here you can see these skulls that are proven to be real, 100% real, but they're not human DNA. Reminds you of the movie Coneheads. Now the real skulls, these were found in Peru, believed to be the Paracas people. They were DNA tested and came back not human. The skulls are similar to humans but with additional bones and head size. So now we know that this is the offspring, this is the creation of, from them taking the DNA from human women and mixing their DNA. That's how they got this. Next slide. Now we're going to talk about why I think they came back. And now we're going to talk about the correlation between missing people in states with the correlation of how much UFO activity is within these places. Now we see the top 10 most missing persons within states. We have Alaska, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Vermont, Maine, Wyoming, Hawaii, New Mexico, Montana. You can see that very well. So the states with the most missing people right there. Now keep that in mind. The most missing people come from Alaska each year. Over 600,000 people go missing. Where are these people going? They're not recovering bodies, so something is up. Now I want you to look very careful. States with the most missing people: Alaska, Arizona, Washington, Montana. You see right here. Now, states with the most UFO activity: Montana, Vermont, Alaska, Maine, New Mexico. You see the amount of the states with the most missing people also has the most UFO activity. According to UFO hotspots include Washington, Montana, Vermont, Alaska, Maine. The most people go missing where? In Alaska. Now you see all these people, all these states with the most missing people, like I said, have the most UFO activity. Five of the states having the most missing people also have the most UFO activity. Strange. Now we're going to talk about the proof of aliens and UFO. L.A. Marzulli worked with a few who studied and earned degrees for anthropology, which is where they study the human bones. They helped him prove the elongated skulls were not human. The Navy also came out and said UFOs are real, and you can find the clip still on CNN if you go to YouTube and type in UFOs are real, CNN. Because the pilots kept running into UFOs and seeing them with their own eyes and on radar, so they couldn't ignore the facts. There are famous fact-proven abduction cases and supernatural phenomena related, such as, you go over here, first-hand accounts of people who have been abducted, Betty and Barney Hill case, the Allagash waterway abduction case, all famous cases that are real. Now, politicians, even there's politicians who have tried to get UFO documents declassified for the citizens and the population to be able to know about this, but it will not be declassified because the government is working with them, working with the fallen angels in turn for technology. You can find credible people who are willing to say the same thing. They have degrees, they have studied this, and they will admit exactly the same thing. Now right here, up in this corner, oh, oops. Let me go back, I messed up. Sorry about that. 1 second. Okay, I want you to see this picture. Okay, well, it's not working, but anyways, the picture had multiple different news sources with the captions of the UFOs being real. But anyways, let's move to the next point, which is the groundbreaking discovery. Here's this man, he's an American surgeon, Dr. Roger Lear. He is a university graduate from University of Southern California. Roger Crevin Lear was an American PD, I think it is.
What's going on YouTube, Ash?
I'm finna sell my soul. I'm gonna hit y'all when I'm through. I'm gonna be rich as hell. Alright?
Did I sell my soul? I sold my soul for you. Now figure that out. Tell me I sell my soul. I sold my soul for you. For all you motherfuckers that's on here, that's asking me that I sell my soul, why the fuck is y'all on here if y'all think I sold my soul? Y'all coming right with me, you dummies.
And I was into my studies, getting good grades, and you know what screwed it all up? Was this one guy, he broke my heart, and I was like, cool, thanks. I was like, now I have to do something pretty ridiculous and insane with my life, so why not sell my soul and go on Jersey Shore? That's what I did. And you know what? It's been awesome. I feel very blessed.
You're doing really well now, but didn't you release a CD like almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
Thank you to Satan for giving me inspiration on how to play.
I just can't take this shit sometimes. And if they take everything away from me, it wouldn't fucking matter. Artists be too concerned about their well-being sometimes. Artists be too scared to stand up for something. They scared to lose their fucking house. Or they scared to lose their record deal. I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Lisa came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. I'm spaced out, dog. I be on that move.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny.
Here goes the guy.
I made it up.
That surprised me.
I used to.
The size of a human being. So let's say they was about 12 to 14 feet tall. Now think about a human woman. Back then, they would probably be 4 to 5 feet tall. So how would a woman that size have sex with a fallen angel that's big enough to pick her up with one hand? They wouldn't have sex, that's the answer, right? Fallen angels, they spent time in heaven next to God. They are far superior in knowledge than human beings. This is where the government gets the Wi-Fi technology, the 5G, from the same beings, right? The Nephilim was created